Hello and welcome to Azur META. If after this video you want to help support the channel, please check out my affiliate store at kit.co/AzurMeta. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and today is Thursday, and you know what that means, it's update day. So here with another Datavine video so you can watch while we're waiting for the servers to come back live. First things first, we have a Call to Arms Sakura Empire event. This is a pre-event. This prelude event means that our Japanese anniversary event is going to be, shocker, a Japanese event. Nagato, Jinsu, Inazuma and Ikazuki are going to be the ships that get extra experience from this event. Also, we get to look at what the frame looks like. This frame is called the Small Dragon Shrine frame. It looks beautiful. It is a must get for me. So hopefully I get lucky with the gacha and I get it. It has a castle on it as well as some flowiness in light blue looks. Looks really cool, almost like underwater and some airwaves. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments if you think this gives any information as to what ships are coming in the anniversary event. Also, check out that live stream. As for the data mine today, which is what you guys probably all care about for those of you who clicked on this video, we have Azuma. She's getting a Fate Simulation 5. Finally, the first DR to get it. Poor FGG hasn't got it yet, but this does say we have a precedent for what DR Fate Simulations look like, so that's very exciting. And of course, we get a new meta ship, Souryuu META. We'll see how she is. Fuso Meta rickrolled everybody, and we get Souryuu META for this anniversary. So we'll see if she's any good. And that's it. It's going to be a short video. Let's get into it. Okay, so for Azuma's Fate Simulation, we get 25 bonus luck. That is the only stat change, but that is actually a big precedent for DRs. Typically, a PR gets plus 15 luck for a Fate Simulated level 5. Apparently, DRs are going to get 25. So that's actually a big impact for Azuma, who needs it for survivability. 25 luck is nothing to scoff at. As with most Fate Simulations, this is upgrading skills that Azuma already has. She's only upgrading 2 of her skills, and we'll go through the 2 that are being upgraded. Mizuho's Intuition is being upgraded. This one first read that every 20 seconds, 70% chance to increase Azuma's own evasion by 20% and accuracy by 50% for 12 seconds. This gets upgraded to being 100% chance every 20 seconds. The evasion is now 25% buff instead of 20, and in addition to the accuracy buff, she decreases the self-torpedo damage that she takes by 15%. This is a pretty good upgrade here. We have a guarantee that she's going to get her evasion. We get a buff to that evasion, and self-damage to torps is something that was her weakness. This makes her probably a top 3 tanking ship in the game. One thing I do want to note is it still procs every 20 seconds. That's really slow for PvP. She's probably going to be dead around that time period. The upgrade did not allow this skill to proc right at the beginning of the match, which would have helped a lot, but it did make the skill a lot more powerful. But the big issue with this skill is that it's slow and infrequent. Moving on to Azuma's next skill that got buffed, which was the Special Gunnery Training. It first read that every 8 times this ship fires its main guns, fire a special barrage. The barrage damage scales with the skill. If equipped with her gun, the prototype 310mm, increase this ship's main gun efficiency by 12%, improve the special barrage based on the proximity to the nearest enemy, and fire every 4 main gun fires instead of 8. So this is a skill that very frequently locked Azuma into the Azuma gun, and what we speculated made Azuma not be able to use the Agir gun. Well, the first change here, and this is a significant change, is this skill is no longer locked to the Azuma gun. It now can be any large cruiser gun. This means she can equip the Agir gun, which is a more powerful gun. Of course, she loses the HE, but this is better against usually medium armor and heavy armor too. And because she has an auxiliary gun, we're not too worried about her killing light armor. The fact that she doesn't need to now use her gun allows her to scale with more powerful weapons that come out in the future. Also, a very important note here that goes into allowing her to equip the Agir gun is now when she fires her special barrage, that barrage has a 100% chance to inflict special burn. Special burn, once again, is not burn damage, so it does stack. This works kind of like Richelieu's burn, which is not counted by the game as burn. It's like a special burn, so it stacks on top of burn. It's a 100% chance, which means Azuma is going to be able to equip a Gears gun, which is AP, which doesn't burn, but she will still be able to light people on fire. It won't reignite backline fires, so it will depend on how powerful this special burn is, but generally this is actually a pretty good upgrade here. Now she can use the better weapons that are coming out without any fear of being locked to an inferior weapon. Overall, what do I think about this thing? The 25 luck is actually really big and honestly feels really powerful. The special burn that's 100% chance and she's not being locked into her gun anymore means that she will be able to be power crept with the new large cruiser stuff that does come out. She does get a little bit more tankiness with her skill, but once again, it's slow. I think she's probably the third, maybe second most tanky ship. I would still use a gear over Azuma in almost every situation though, because a gear is absolutely busted after she got upgraded herself. And if I'm looking for tankiness, I still like Anchorage, who gets a lot of her tankiness early in a battle, whereas Azuma gets it after 20 seconds. Most battles are not going to last very long, so 20 seconds is a long period of time. Anyway, that's for Azuma. She gets a lot better, but I don't think it will change her place too much, but those long-term Azuma fans and people who saved up those prints should be pretty happy. This is a good Fate simulation, but not necessarily meta-defining. Speaking of meta, let's move on to the next ship, our meta ship, Souryuu META. This is a brand new ship, even though it's based on an old ship. She has had a metamorphosis. She is medium armor just like her base form. However, post-retrofit form is actually going to be more powerful than her stat-wise. We're looking at lower stats for this Souryuu META. On top of that, the efficiencies are a little bit weird. She gets a decrease in her fighter efficiencies and an increase in her torp armor efficiencies. Still the same loadout 332. Honestly, this is more or less just a Souryuu, slightly weaker in my opinion, but nothing that would make a difference. So we got to go into the skills to see if it's different. Skill number 1, 10 seconds after the battle starts, and every 20 seconds after that, so 10, 30, 50, etc., fire a special barrage that causes special burn again, so we're really into the special burn during this data mine. Special burn to enemies that it hits. The burn damage is 521 damage per tick. There's 3-second ticks, 6-second duration. Burn damage scales with the skill level. This skill looks like this, so it's just like her throwing out the cards, which is kind of cool. She's, doing Yu-Gi-Oh style, throwing out the card attack, and it does cause that special burn. It looks like it does some good damage and ticks against these low AL level enemies, and it does do good spread. So I do like this barrage here. Moving on to skill number 2. When she fires an airstrike, launch an extra barrage planes and fire a slashing barrage as well. Slashing barrages cause special flooding, 100% chance for the enemies that it hits. The flooding lasts for 9 seconds. Flooding damage scales with aviation and the skill level, so it does both. This actually looks really cool with the slashes that cause the flooding. Then the extra planes come behind it, being able to do the damage into a target that's already flooding. The flooding is going to be doing extra ticks. I really like this, and there's a lot of damage over time in this. We have the flooding and the burning basically guaranteed from her airstrikes and the extra barrage. So as is typical with these meta ships, we're getting a bunch of flashy barrages that do a lot of damage over time. Moving on to skill number 3, win sortie with Hiryu. Now, does this mean Hiryu meta? I'm not quite sure, but definitely should work with Hiryu. Kind of an interesting thing. I think it should work with Hiryu meta just because of the way that Akagi Mew works with Kaga, but I don't know this at the time of this recording. Anyway, when they're sorted together with Hiryu, or she is equipped with any Sakura plane, well, that makes this pretty easy. You just give her a Ryusei. You're going to be probably using her in some sort of PvE fleet from what I've seen so far, so we don't really have to sort her with Hiryu. We can just give her a Sakura Empire plane. That's easy enough. There's also plenty of good fighters that we can use to get her to launch faster. This is not a problem. Oh yeah, and then the new dive bomber. Whenever somebody actually gets that UR dive bomber, could use that. Plenty of things to use with this. Easy to trigger. She gets 20% extra bonus to aviation. That's a big boost over something like her original form, so that's something. Of course, the original Souryuu got a 35% buff to aviation when she's sorted with Hiryu, but this one doesn't necessarily need Hiryu because she has that alternative trigger. Also, when Vanguard ships launch the equipped torpedoes, 50% chance to increase all of Souryuu Meta's damage dealt by 20% for 5 seconds. Okay, this is interesting. So it's a skill that triggers when other ships launch their torpedo weapons. So this would actually work really well with something like a speed torp Anchorage, which is trying to fire just a bunch of weak torps really quickly so that she can get her smokescreen as much as possible and survive longer. But it would also actually proc this skill, which is interesting, which gives a 50% chance, so it's not guaranteed, but it increases all of the damage she deals by 20%. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, it's only for a 5-second window, so that might be hard to time, but because, you know, you can kind of play around with your Vanguard ship's timings for the torpedoes, you could maybe get a window where you can get this to proc with decent consistency. Once again, only 50%, and of course, you could always play manual, and then that would mean you get to just pick when it goes. That's a 20% damage dealt is a lot, so that's not nothing. Of course, this is to all damage, so this applies to the damage over time that she inflicts as well as the barrages, so that's pretty nice. She also gets a passive that's active in Operation Siren only. This is a self-accuracy stat is increased by 5%. Also, when she's fighting humanoid siren fleets or a boss fleet, she increases the aviation and her accuracy by an additional 5%. So just a passive stat boost, nothing too much to be here. Honestly, this ship is kind of boring. A lot of barrages, a lot of damage over time. The base stats that we're working with are actually pretty low. They're weaker than Souryuu, and Souryuu has not been used because she's not very good herself. I'm happy it doesn't power creep Souryuu, though. I'm happy that they do different things. Souryuu actually increases your Vanguard's damage, and Souryuu META actually has the Vanguard increase her damage, so it's a little bit different. I would say that Souryuu's actually worse than Souryuu META, though. So even though they don't have the same role and it's not a direct power creep, you probably should be using Souryuu META over Souryuu, especially if we find out that Hiru triggers based on Souryuu META. I don't know that yet. I'll test that as soon as I get one of them to test with, but that would make her definitely the better option to use with Hiru over her sister, so that would be kind of weird. Anyway, a pretty solid ship, and she's gonna be exciting to grind. I'm excited to maybe do some competitions with fighting on her meta fight. Of course, with this new update, we are allowed to use any ship in our dock to fight against her. We're no longer limited to just the ships that we bring to Operation Siren. So now you don't have to worry about fleet compositions in Operation Siren and how they will affect what fleets you can build for your meta fights. Honestly, it wasn't that much of an issue. I'm surprised they actually changed this, but it makes it a little bit easier, I guess, for newer players. You don't have to worry about that. No strat. We just take the strategy out of that. You just throw in your best ships against your meta fight. Gonna be kind of almost like the guild fights where you just you don't have to worry about anything. You just throw your best ships in there and go. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Put out on a last minute whim here. Of course, we are going to be live streaming the Japanese anniversary, which is going to bring a whole bunch of new ships. I'm super excited for this IJN event. Maybe we're getting a UR. Are we going to get a Yamato class? Are we going to get a URDD like Shimikaze? I don't know, but I'm really excited for it. So tune in. I'll have a English coverage stream of that because the stream will be 12 hours in Japanese. And depending on what goes down there, maybe I'll have a shorter recap for those of you who don't have attention span for 12 hours. Anyway, take care, guys, and until next time.